The morning after the first night was unlike anything I had ever imagined. November 10th, 1989, day 2, and the city was buzzing with disbelief, joy, and an almost surreal sense of freedom. People who had crossed the wall the night before were telling their stories, sharing news that felt like a dream. Cafes and streets were filled with laughter, tears, and the chatter of neighbors who hadn't seen each other in decades. Everywhere you looked, East Berliners were exploring their city in a way they had only seen in photographs or on television. The border crossings were still open, and now the crowds were even larger. Families reunited, long-lost friends embraced, and children ran freely where they had never been allowed before. The wall itself, which had been an unyielding symbol of division, was now covered in graffiti, flowers, and messages of hope. People had brought hammers and chisels. Every strike on the concrete felt like reclaiming decades stolen from them. City officials were scrambling. The government hadn't anticipated the sheer scale of the crowds. Border guards were confused but no longer resisted. Most simply watched in awe as history unfolded before them. News helicopters flew overhead, capturing images that would become iconic. And yet, amid the celebrations, there was a quiet understanding. This freedom had come suddenly, unexpectedly, and nothing would ever be the same. By midday, the wall was alive with people. Musicians played on top, journalists recorded interviews, and tourists from West Berlin mingled with locals from the east. There was laughter, singing, and dancing, but also a reflective mood as everyone realized the significance of the moment. Families posed for photos at places where, only the night before, crossing had been impossible. As the day ended, the wall had already started to crumble in places. People were taking souvenirs, pieces of concrete, fragments of a barrier that had stood for decades. Children climbed on top while adults cheered, marking every chisel strike with applause. The first night had been spontaneous. Day 2 was deliberate, joyous, and historic. And through it all, you could feel the power of ordinary people shaping history with their own hands. It wasn't politicians or governments that brought the wall down. It was the courage, the hope, and the unity of thousands of individuals who simply refused to accept division. Day 2 ended with the city still buzzing, the wall partially broken, and the world realizing that a new Europe was emerging. This wasn't just a local story, it was a moment that reshaped the world forever. By the morning of November 11th, 1989, Berlin was transformed. The wall, once a symbol of division, was now a monument of freedom in the making. The streets of East and West Berlin were alive with celebration, but also with reflection. People were no longer just crossing a border, they were reclaiming a city, a culture, and a sense of humanity that had been suppressed for decades. Crowds had grown exponentially. Families from both sides embraced at every checkpoint. Strangers became friends. Children climbed on broken sections of concrete, waving flags, and laughing in ways that had been unimaginable just days before. Tourists and journalists flocked to document what had now become a worldwide spectacle. News outlets around the globe broadcast live images, and suddenly the story of Berlin became the story of the entire world. Workers, students, and ordinary citizens started to take deliberate action on the wall itself. Hammers, chisels, and even bare hands chipped away at the concrete. Every strike was a statement. No government, no ideology, no border could separate people forever. The wall was no longer a barrier, it was a canvas of history being rewritten. City officials, who had been scrambling in disbelief for 2 days, finally began to coordinate cleanup and safety measures. Police and volunteers guided crowds, ensuring no one was injured, while thousands climbed, jumped, and celebrated atop the crumbling sections. Yet, despite the chaos, there was a sense of order. Humanity was taking care of itself. By midday, the wall was dotted with graffiti, murals, and messages of hope, peace, and unity. Artists and ordinary citizens contributed equally. Musicians performed on fragments of concrete. Photographers captured faces etched with joy, relief, and awe. Some were overwhelmed by the sheer historical significance, while others simply enjoyed a day of freedom that had arrived without warning. As evening approached, the wall had been partially dismantled in countless places. People carried home chunks of concrete as souvenirs. Fireworks lit the sky in West Berlin while East Berliners sang, danced, and celebrated into the night. What had begun as a spontaneous opening of a border had evolved into a global symbol of human courage, unity, and the irrepressible desire for freedom. Day 3 was not just a continuation of the first 2 days. It was the moment when the world understood that nothing could rebuild the barriers that humanity was determined to tear down. The Berlin Wall, once a symbol of oppression, had been replaced by hope, unity, and the undeniable power of ordinary people shaping history with their own hands. If you felt the power of history in today's story, don't forget to subscribe to Echoes Beyond History. Hit the like button and join me as we explore more unforgettable moments that shaped our world. Your support helps these stories reach more people, so subscribe now and let history echo with us.